Hello, my name is Robbie from Girl Bike Love, and in this video we're going to be talking about 3 methods to fix that rusty chain on your bike. So before we start talking about how to fix your rust problem, it's important to talk about how it gets there and what rust is. So rust is actually a chemical reaction that happens to a lot of metals. If metals are left unprotected and water and oxygen are present, what it does is it causes corrosion. So all this brown mess that's on your chain is actually the metal corroding itself. So what causes rust to happen to your bike chain? Well, it can be many different things. The first one is not using any oil. If you don't use any oil to protect your bike chain, instantly the water and the oxygen are going to get in and it's just going to start rusting straight away. Another thing to think about is if you're using the correct kind of oil and lubrication for your chain. So for example, if you're using dry lube and you go out when it's raining and all that lube washes off, you come home and leave your bike inside, it's unprotected again and your chain is going to start rusting. Another reason why you might find rust in your bike chain is if you store it outside. So as much as you want to put oil and lube on the chain, sometimes just leaving it outside, the elements are going to eventually get to it and then you'll have surface rust. The last reason which is probably going to cause you surface rust is just not using your bike in a while. Parts like chains are designed to be moved. One more thing to think about is how rusty is the chain. So if you have light surface rust, just like what I have, and the chain is still flexible, then it can be repaired and you can clean that rust off. If you have a chain that's just thick of rust and has no flexibility in it, then more than likely you're going to have to replace the chain. A chain that's gone that far is going to be a lot weaker and it's just not going to be safe to ride. So now let's talk about the 3 methods to clean that rusty chain up. So the first method we're going to run you through is what we call the lemon juice and elbow grease. So this is one of the easiest methods to get rust off your chain, and literally these are things that you're going to find in your house. So you are going to need a scouring pad, some lemon juice, some degreaser and some oil to complete this job. So the first thing you want to do is get your bike into a stand and give it a clean. You're really going to need to get all that dirt off this chain because all that old oil is going to make the job harder and much tougher. So the more we can get of that off, the easier the job's going to be. So we're going to clean it, we're going to degrease it, and then when we're going to done, we're going to pop the chain off and pop it onto the floor. On the side of that, you're going to get a small bowl and you're going to fill a little bit of it with lemon juice and then soak your scouring pad in the lemon juice. Once you've done this, you're going to want to scratch all that nasty rust off your chain. You will literally see it dissolve as you scrub the chain. Once this is done, you need to give the chain a really good rinse and make sure that there's no lemon juice left on, and then get it back on the bike and finally add some oil to it to make sure that you're not going to get that rust coming back easily. That is what we call the lemon juice and elbow grease method. So the next method we're going to talk about is the Coke and soak. For this, you're going to require a bottle of full fat Coke, you're going to require a tub, some oil and that degreaser again. So again, you're going to start by needing to get your bike in that stand and give it a really good clean to get all that old oil off. Then you're going to pop the chain off and you're going to put it in the tub and submerge it in Coca-Cola. You're going to leave this for 24 hours, and after 24 hours you are going to pick it out that tub and a lot of the rust will be gone. The rest of it should just wipe off easily with a cloth. After it's nice and clean, you're going to want to give it a really good rinse before you get it back on the bike, get the chain back on the bike, and after that you want to apply the oil to make sure it doesn't get rusty again. That's what we call the Coke and soak method. So the next method we're going to speak about is what we call the W40 and chain drive cleaner. So for this, you're going to need a specialist chain cleaner, some WD-40, some degreaser, and some oil. So the first thing you need to do again is get that bike nice and clean and get all that old dirty oil off your chain. Once you've done this, I don't want you to remove the chain. What I want you to do is lightly spray WD-40 all over the chain and let it soak for between 10 and 20 minutes. When you do this, be very careful not to get any WD-40 on your disc brakes or on your pads, as this will contaminate them. Once you've done this, what you're going to need to do is set up your chain drive cleaner, and all the cogs and gears in there, you're going to want to spray with WD-40. You're going to pop this chain drive cleaner on, you are going to run it around the system, and that's going to start removing all that rust. I recommend doing this for literally as long as 1.5 to 2 minutes. Once done, you're going to need to clean all this WD-40 off your chain. I highly recommend, again, really avoiding getting anywhere near those brake discs and pads. Even if you put a plastic bag over just to protect it, that's going to go a very long way in stopping them getting contaminated. Once it's all clean, just give it a little bit of time to dry, and then when you're ready, you're going to want to get all that oil on to protect it for future use. That is what we call the WD-40 and chain drive method. So the last thing we need to speak about is how are you going to stop it getting rusty in the future? Well, the first thing you're going to do is make sure it's always got oil on and it's lubricated at all times. The second thing you're going to want to do is try and keep your bike stored in a dry place where moisture can't get to the chain. And the last thing you're going to want to do, which is something I highly recommend, is after every ride, give your bike a wash and re-lube the chain ready for your next ride. Thanks for watching our video, guys. Like, comment and subscribe.